From the front of the bus, we're going to check under the engine to make sure there are no puddles, which would indicate a leak. I'm opening the hood to continue my pre-trip. Starting right here. This is the master cylinder. It's securely mounted to the bus. Hoses are intact. They're properly clamped, no pinholes, no leaks. The fluid level should be between add and full. From there, we're going to the oil dipstick. We would pull out the dipstick, wipe it clean, reinsert it, pull it back out. The level should read between add and full. This is the coolant reservoir. It's securely mounted to the frame of the bus. No pinholes, no leaks. The fluid level should be between add and full. Over here we have the power steering reservoir. It's securely mounted to the bus. It's not damaged, not leaking. And you would check the fluid level the same as you did the oil dipstick. Behind here we have the power steering pump. The power steering pump is securely mounted, not damaged or leaking, and it is gear driven. Now we're doing the steering gearbox and hoses. The steering gearbox is securely mounted to the frame of the bus, no missing nuts or bolts. The hoses are properly clamped, no pinholes and no leaks. Now we're going to check all our links, arms, and rods to make sure they're not bent or damaged. They are properly secured and there are no missing nuts, bolts, or cotter pins. I'm going to check all my hoses on this side to make sure that they are properly clamped, there are no pinholes, and no leaks. Now we are on the passenger entry side of the bus. I'm going to check the hoses on this side of the engine, the same as I did on the other side. This is my alternator. It's properly secured to the engine, not damaged. All the wires in the back are properly attached and not frayed. Down in the center here is my water pump, properly secured to the engine, not damaged or leaking. Right here I have my alternator and water pump belt. It's not worn, cracked, or damaged. There's no more than 3/4 of an inch play in the center. The belt operates the alternator and the water pump. Now I'm doing the front suspension system. This is my shock absorber. It's securely mounted top and bottom, and it's not leaking. These are my spring mounts. This is my rear hanger, and up here we have the front hanger spring mount. It's properly secured. It's not cracked or broken. No missing or damaged bushings or other axle mounting parts. No broken, loose, or missing bolts. These are my 2 U-bolts. They are properly secured, not cracked or broken. These are my leaf springs. They're properly mounted, none are missing, shifted, cracked, or broken. Now I'm going to my braking system. These are my brake hoses and lines. They are properly secured, no pinholes, and not leaking. Coming around to the front of the tire, I will be checking my brake pads to make sure that they are thick and not worn dangerously thin. And I'm looking at my shiny rotors to make sure that they are smooth and not grooved, not cracked or bent, and properly secured. We're going to the wheel system. I'm going to check my tires first, check the inner and outer sidewalls to make sure that there are no cuts, no gouges, no bumps. I'm going to check to make sure the tread is evenly worn across the whole tire. I would check the tread gauge with the tread depth with a tread gauge should be no less than 4/32 of an inch. Coming down the side, I'm going to check my rim. I'm going to make sure it's not bent, not damaged, and there are no illegal welds on it. Next, I'll check all my lug nuts to make sure that they're present. There are no shiny threads or rust trails which would indicate a leak. Last, I'm going to check my hub seal. to make sure it's securely mounted, no missing bolts, and it is not leaking. I'll check my valve stem last to make sure that the stem is not leaking, the cap is tight, secure. I would check my pressure here with an air pressure gauge. At this time, I'm going to close the hood and I'm going to check my mirrors. I'm checking my driver's side mirror to make sure that the bracket is secured to the bus, the mirrors are secured to the bracket, and the glass is not broken and it's intact. Coming around the front of the bus, I'm going to check both of my student crossover mirrors, the same as I did the driver mirror, and I'm going to check the right side mirror the same as I did the driver mirror. Now we're going to check the DEF tank. First I'll check underneath to make sure that there are no puddles, indicating that there is not a leak. I'm checking the tank to make sure that it's secure to the frame and that the cap is on tight and secure. Going underneath the bus. Now I'm going to check my drive shaft. I'm checking to make sure it's not bent or damaged and that the coupling has no debris and it moves freely. While I'm here, I'm going to check my main frame and my cross members to make sure that they're not bent, not cracked, and there are no broken welds. Alright, I'm checking my rear suspension system. I'm going to check my shock absorber, my spring mounts, my U-bolts, and my leaf springs the same as I did in the front. This bus has no torque bar, and it also has a rear air bellows, which should be securely mounted and not leaking. I'm going to check my rear braking system. I'll check my brake hoses and lines, my pads and my rotors, the same as I did in the front. I'm going to check the rear wheel system. I'll check the tires, the rims, the lug nuts, the axle seal, the valve stem and caps, the same as I did in the front, except these tires are butted together and they're evenly spaced all the way around. There is no debris caught in the middle. And the tread depth on the rear wheels is no less than 2/32 checked with a tread depth gauge. I will check my splash guard to make sure it's securely mounted, not broken or damaged. I come to my fuel. I will check the diesel fuel, the port, the same as I did the DEF tank. Coming around to the back of the bus, I'm going to check around the door to make sure all my reflective tape is on. Make sure I have 2 red reflectors in the back. I'm going to open the door. Make sure it opens and closes freely from the back. Make sure that the seals are intact on the door and the seals on the window are intact and the glass is not damaged. I'm going to check my exhaust system to make sure that it is properly clamped. There is no deep rust or soot, which would indicate a leak. Now we're going to do the service door. Approaching it, I'm going to open it and close it, make sure it opens and closes properly. I'm going to check the hinges to make sure that they are properly attached inside and out and working properly. The door seals, the glass seals, and the glass are all working properly and they are intact. I'm checking the stairwell to make sure that the flooring is grooved and securely mounted, not loose or smooth or worn out. I'm checking the handrails to make sure they're securely mounted to the sides. I'm going to check my light, step light, to make sure it's securely mounted to the side and the lens is not cracked or damaged. I'm going to start with my first aid kit, fully stocked. It's securely mounted to the bus. Coming over here, I'm going to my body fluid kit, which also is fully stocked and securely mounted to the bus. Down here I have my fully charged ABC fire extinguisher. I have my 3 reflective triangles in this box, and this bus is run by circuit breakers located outside, not by fuses. Now I'm going to check my seat belt. I'm going to make sure that it latches properly, adjusts for me, is not damaged or frayed, and unlatches properly. I'm going to check my windshield to make sure it's not damaged. There are no illegal stickers or obstructions. I will check my mirrors, my West Coast mirrors, my convex mirrors, my student mirrors, and my rear view mirror to make sure that they are all adjusted for me. At this point, I'm going to check the backup motor for my brake system, and that's working properly. I will turn the key to the on position for my safe start. I'm waiting for the wait to start and the ABS lights to go out. Once they've gone out, I'll start my bus. Now I'm going to do my hydraulic brake check. I will pump on the brake pedal 3 times, 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to hold it for 5 seconds to make sure the pedal does not go to the floor. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, and the brake pedal has not moved. At this point, I'm going to do my emergency brake check. With my foot on the brake, I'm going to put the bus in drive, make sure that the parking brake is still applied. I will push on the accelerator, and the bus should not move. Put the bus back in neutral. To check my service brakes, I would put the bus in drive, release the parking brake. I would accelerate to 5 miles an hour, apply the brakes, and the vehicle should stop. All right, now I'm going to check all my heaters to make sure that they are working properly. I'm checking it on low, and I'm checking it on high, and it's working properly. I'm going to check my defrost on low and high, and it is working properly. I'm checking my water temperature to make sure it's rising to normal operating range. I will check my oil pressure. It also should rise to normal operating range. Over here, I'm going to check my voltmeter. Should be between 12 and 14 and a half. And then I'm going to check my ammeter. It should be on 0 or towards the positive side. I'm going to check my left turn signal, my right turn signal, my 4-way flashers, my high beam indicator, and my DEF tank should have at least 1/8 of a tank. Check my windshield wipers, make sure the arms are securely mounted to the bus and the wipers are securely mounted to the arms. I'm going to make sure that they work on low and high, and that the windshield washer fluid is working properly as well. Now I'm going to check the horn to make sure that it is blowing properly. Now I'm going to turn my bus off and turn the key to the on position to check my seating and my emergency exits. Now I'm going to check my seats. I'm going to make sure that my frames are securely mounted to the floor and my cushions are securely mounted to the frames, And I'm going to check the seats all the way back the same way. Now I'm going to check my emergency exits. I'm going to make sure that the buzzer is sounding and that the door opens and closes freely from the inside. I am going to check my emergency exit window. Make sure it opens and closes. I would check this side the same as I did that side. I'm going to check my hatch. I'll turn the handle until I hear it. The buzzer working properly, I'll shut it off. If I needed to make an exit, I would push it up, open it all the way, and we could then get up on the seat and crawl out over the roof. Now we're going to get out and do our check the lights, front, rear, and sides of the bus. I will push the lamp check button and we will exit the bus. As I am exiting, I'm checking the step light inside and outside to make sure that they are both working properly. They were both securely mounted. From the front of the bus, I'm going to check all my lights to make sure that they are the proper color, working properly, and not damaged or cracked. I'll check my clearance lights on the top, my red student loading lights, and my amber lights. I'm going to check my four-way flashers. I'll check my right turn signal, upper and lower. I'll check my left turn signal, upper and lower. I'm going to check my headlights on high beams and low beams. Walking down the side of the bus, I'm checking my reflective tape. My reflectors, proper colored, yellow in the front. My left turn signal, four-way flasher is working. My clearance lights are working properly. Another yellow reflector, and I have a red reflector in the back. From the back of the vehicle, again, starting at the top, I'm going to check my clearance lights, my red student loading lights, my amber lights. I will check my four-way flashers, my left turn signal, my right turn signal, my brake lights and my tail lights, my reverse lights are working properly. My reflectors are both red in the back. This side I will check, make sure that the clearance lights are working properly. The reflective tape is in place. The red reflector is in the rear of the bus. My right turn signal and four-way flasher is working properly on this side, and my two yellow reflectors are working properly. I will now go on the bus, and I'm going to activate my student loading lights for my stop arm, my crossing arm, and my stop sign to activate. My crossing gate has opened properly. It's not damaged or broken. All right, now I'm going to check my stop arm to make sure it's fully open. The lights are properly working on the front and on the rear. They're not damaged or missing. The wiring is intact and not frayed or damaged. As we step back, we're going to check for the strobe light on top of the bus, and it is working properly. And this concludes our pre-trip.